Alright, welcome back to another tutorial in Maya. Today it's all about spiders or creepy crawlies or something. This is sort of a tutorial in response to the hair curve tutorials. Like, the question was sort of, how do you make this hair dynamic curve system, hair system stick to an object so that you can sort of play around with that object and not be worried about having your mesh deform and all sorts of stuff. So it's a pretty simple concept, and essentially what we're looking at here is just a simple spider. I mean, no big deal. I just took some spheres and modeled them together, and then I extruded these legs from a small cylinder. So no big deal there, but let's take a look at what we can do with this dynamic curve system, or this hair system, in terms of sort of self-animating an object. Here's the object itself, and you'll notice I have a point light right here, and that point light is parented to this spider because this sort of illuminates the mouth, because the physical sun and sky system is kind of throwing too harsh of a shadow in there. And I would redo this render for you, but it's about a 46-second render. So anyway, it's just sort of adding a little bit of light down here into the mouth, so when I actually animate the mouth and model the mouth and put all that in there, then it'll be well lit. So anyway, and I have control over it. So no big deal there. But what you'll see, let's go to the beginning of this animation, and by attaching a hair system, you can do all sorts of stuff with sort of just making a object have organic motion. And that's what you're seeing here. And once you attach this hair system as your curves, I have it attached for the legs, you can do all sorts of crazy stuff with it. You'll notice you have a hair system shape 1 node. And essentially you get there by just choosing in the outliner. Right now I have this thing parented to this poly surface right here. So that's where it's showing up, and here's our properties. Now if I want to change these or animate these over time, there's lots of stuff you can fool around with, like, say, for example, turbulence. I could animate this value sort of come up and down. There we go. My screen recording program is sort of making it a little slower, but you can see we're just adding some intensity on turbulence at various levels here and there. Can make those legs do some wild stuff. Okay, so that's one property you can work with. Another one you can work with is the curve attract. Our original curves are still sort of in there, so if I were to vary this, I can pull those legs up to, say, like where that original starting curve was, or I can attract them up even higher by bringing it up into that level. So you can do a lot of different stuff by messing around with this curve attraction right there in just different levels. So anyway, you get the idea. We can animate these values by just right-clicking and set key. So simple keyframing. All right, so let's get to it. Let's go back a step or two. But before we go there, make sure you go here to Lester Banks. Okay, Matt Barr did a great series for Polyface over here, and Lester picked it up, and here they are. So go to Polyface, and or go to Lester. Get linked up to these. This is also another way, and it's great to hear other people and their methods of kind of doing things. So great job, Matt. Good job, and thank you, Polyface, for presenting this. And make sure you go to Lester, and when you go to Lester, go to the store and get yourself a T-shirt. All right, that'll always be good. So there you go. Let's get on with it. I have a file that I started with, and I think what I'll do is just go to that file and sort of open that up. I think it was like a, what was it? I think it was the pre-extrusion. All right, and I think I'll save that. Yeah, so here it is. This was the start of everything, and the basic elements. And you can see where I've just got a sphere and a sphere and a sphere, and I sort of just grouped these together because I want them to move together. But then I also created these little cylinders. All right, so go ahead and make yourself some cylinders, and model yourself a spider or something like this, and we're going to use these faces to extrude along these curves. And right here I have a whole set of curves that I created and these are just, I basically duplicated them. I just created this one and then flipped it and put it over here. And then position those curves so that they're sort of going right into this face, and just by a little bit. You don't want them like going too far. You just want to, you know, you might have to go into your you know, stealth mode there and sort of see where these curves are ending up. And you don't want them going all the way through. Like this one, let's see if I can get in there. Yeah, I mean, this one's not going all the way through, so that should be good. You kind of want them just to touch that surface. So, you know, a good method for doing that is just to take your curve and, you know, just sort of move it. Use your move tool and sort of move it back and forth and get it sort of till you see it disappear. And that should, you know, that should be just right. Okay? So anyway, make yourself a spider and then make yourself some curves. In order to make these curves, I found that the easiest was just to sort of go into my top view over here and just create the curves in there. All I did was just do a create, and then I think I used EP curves. Okay, so they're going to react a little different. I like EP curves, so I just went EP curve tool, and then I just sort of, you know, positioned it up here and did some, you know, various spider looking things and hit enter. And now you have a curve, and you can move that around anywhere you want. So we want to make some curves and put them on this cylinder. Now, creating the cylinder for this spider, real simple. Basically just a cylinder, but when you do your cylinder, I came down here and my cylinders are typically, you know, like that, and I'll just size them to whatever I need, but it's only one face. Okay, best just to have this top face on there, just a single face, single division, and you can usually check and see where you're, you know, I think it's a subdivision cap of 0 or whatever. So anyway, that's important. Just have a single face. All right. Now, let's go back to, I'm going to go on to the next part of the scene just to speed this up a bit. I'm going to go to the post-extrusion file, and I'm not going to save that. And here's where I started the extrusions from this hair system. So the first thing you want to do after you get done creating your curves is make a hair system. All right? So let's go back to, I'm going to come in here to the other, let's go to that file we were at before. That was the pre-extrusion, and I'm not going to save that. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is select your curves, and in this case I'm just going to select those. I'll select these, and I have all of my leg curves selected. And then what you want to do is make sure you're in your dynamics menu set and come over here into your hair. And in the hair section, what we're going to do is assign that a hair system. So I'll go ahead and just assign it a hair system. And you'll notice right away we got some extra curves here. And over in the outliner here we have hair system follicles, blah, blah. All right. So I've already assigned this a hair system, I believe. So I'm going to just do an edit. I think I'll hit undo right there. And I want to see, first of all, if I actually assigned these. Okay, I didn't. Great. All right, so we're good to go. So that's what you want to do. You want to select all of your legs on the curves there, and then come into your hair and actually assign hair system, new hair system. All right. In your outliner, you will have a hair system 1. All right. Now, let's take a look at this real quick while we have it open. Let's set this animation to say 800. That'll give us some time to play with everything. And we'll go back to the beginning of the animation, and we'll go on to there. Okay? So there you can see we have some very distinct differences in the curves. Now the curves are alive, and those become our, you know, our legs. I can see I have a problem with this one right here. It's sort of hanging a little low. I want it to be more up here as it's resting, but you're going to have to play around with some of these positioning of these curves as you go along, and you know, that'll give you a better idea of how to attach these. Now on this one I may want to bring that one up. Let's see, let's bring it up and maybe over. But before we do that, you have to remember that there's already another follicle that's attached to this, so we don't necessarily want to start messing around with these Let me bring it up there, for example. I'm going to put that up there, and we'll go back to the beginning of the animation. And you can see where the original curve stays there, and now this one is here. So let's try putting that one in place just manually. I'll go ahead and move this over and try and work it in there and bring it out. And a lot of times it's just a matter of sort of getting it, you know, to align with that face. Okay, so there's that one. I'm going to go ahead and go back to the beginning, and we'll see what we got now. Alright, so now it's in a little bit better position, and it'll probably look better when we extrude it and all of that. Okay, so that's just a quick way to deal with, you know, a curve that's sort of out of kilter. But let's remember something. We have to remember that these are a set, and they're a set of static curves and now a set of dynamic curves, which are moving around down here. So I'm going to go ahead and pause that. And now we're ready to sort of do the final steps to extrude these. I'm going to go ahead and sort of move around here to this side, and we'll just sort of work our way from here to here on over. Let's grab the first one and do an extrusion. You'll see where I grab the first curve, and I'm going to go ahead and shift click on my cylinder right there. And then I'm going to right mouse click, go into face mode, and I want to select this face right here. So I'm going to go ahead and select that. And I think I'll move up here a little bit more. Now that we have those selected, let's go make sure you're in your polygon menu set, and we're going to do an edit mesh, and we're going to actually just extrude that. Well, it looks a little weird right now. You can see where it's sort of going down the way it should, but it's really wacky. Well, we just need to add some divisions. And so really in your divisions over here, we should be at maybe, say, 25, just as an example. So now I have 25 divisions in there, and that looks pretty good. Yeah, I think that'll work for the moment. And you'll notice it's a little blocky down here, so in order to take care of that, we just need to taper this down. And you can mess around with your various taper properties. Usually, if I'm going to try, like, say, 0.100 here, and that should leave me with just a little tiny leg and sort of a pod that I could maybe attach something to, or just make it easier to see. But, you know, essentially that kind of looks like a spider leg. So you're going to want to do that to all the rest of these. Let's just select a couple more here. I'll do one more. And oh, you may have to go back into object mode before you start selecting things. Now that you're in object mode, I'm going to shift click that one. I'm going to right mouse click, go to face, and I'm going to shift click, select that face. And I want to go back to edit mesh and extrude. And we're going to do the same thing this whole way down. We'll just keep giving it more divisions. I'll do 25 there, and we'll do the taper at, say, 0.100, and there we go. So I'll go back into object mode, and I want to choose this curve right here. No, we want to choose that curve. Shift click, go to right mouse click, go to face mode, and shift click on this face. Go back up, edit mesh, extrude. And we're going to do the same thing for that. We're going to give it 25 divisions, and we're going to give it a taper, say 0.100, and that should work. But our taper is not, oh no, I did something wrong there, so this should just be 0.100. All right, now we got our taper. So you get the idea. You're going to do that for all the rest of these. All right. And then choose shift click and right mouse click face, and shift click that face, edit mesh, extrude, and here we go. So we almost have them. And this is where it gets interesting, because once we have that, everything should be attached to this spider. Alright, and I'm going to go back into object mode, and I'm going to go back and start at the beginning of the animation. Alright, well now we have animated legs, which is cool. It's exactly what we want. And let's take a look at the outliner real quick just to see what happened over there. I'm going to push pause there. We're going to come down to our hair system 1, and you can see where that's right there. Each one of those follicles now are sort of, you know, individual follicles based on, you'll see if you just drop down one of these that you'll now have follicle 3 and then a follicle 3 shape. which is more like just the single follicle in number 3, which is, let's see if we can see it in there. Yeah, okay, anyway. So yeah, you want to be aware that there's a whole bunch of stuff going on here now. But you don't really need to be concerned with that. Let's take a look at how to attach this so it doesn't go away or it doesn't mess with our geometry as we move it around. The easiest way to do that, and this is just one way and it's not always the best, okay? So pay attention to that. What I want to do is I'm going to go back and let's go back to the beginning, and we're going to choose that hair system 1. Just grab our hair system 1 and let's look and see where we want to parent that to. We want to parent it to this object itself, and that is our poly surface number 1. All right, so essentially all we have to do is, well, take hair system 1, we're going to shift click or command click our poly surface number 1, there it is, and we want to parent those. So go to your parent and parent them. Now what will happen is we can move this around anywhere and these legs will stick. So let's try that. I'm going to choose my poly surface number 1. I'm going to go ahead and hit pause there, and I'll go back to the beginning. And I'm going to move this whole object out of the way. Well, right away you notice something weird happened. All right, our whole body moved, but our legs are still in place. All right. Well, that's because we didn't parent or we didn't group our legs with the body. So let's go back and take a look at that. I'm going to come here and just do we'll just do a couple of Z's. Move that back in there. We'll go back to the beginning of the animation and let it play. All right. Well, let's take a look at, first of all, our legs and where we extruded everything from. Right here in the outliner, you'll see you've got polycylinder 1, you've got 2, 3, 4. If we go around to the other side, we've got 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay, and those are all our cylinders that we just extruded. And let's say we want to make them stick to, you know, this poly surface. Let's just maybe command click that poly surface, and we could either group them or you could parent them. In this case, I think I'm going to parent them, and now we should be able to move this thing around and have them stick. So I'm going to come down here and let's do a selection of our object and we'll move it back a bit. Okay, and you'll notice my eyeballs I didn't have paired, so I'm just going to do a couple of Z's there. No, let's see what I want to do. Okay, let's make sure we're parented there. So I might want to just grab this one, shift click this one, and maybe command shift click this and just parent those as well. So parenting, grouping, it's all up to you. Just be aware of the differences. All right, so there it is. So now if I grab this poly surface number 1, now I should be able to move this in and out of the way, and we should be able, let's see here if we can go back here and go back to the beginning of the animation and play it, and there it is. Okay, but now that you'll see you have curves everywhere, you've got a set of dynamic curves and a set of the static curves. Well, it's pretty easy to fix that because we don't really need these curves to be seen, and they don't need to be resized or anything because all of that is being controlled now by the parenting of that hair system to our you know, main object. Get it? It's pretty easy. So really what I would want to do is maybe just hide those. Might want to come into the outliner. I'm going to hit stop, and let's take a look at these curves right here. Might want to select some of them, just kind of find out where they are. So it's basically here the system 1 follicles and the output curves as well. And what you want to do with these guys is just hide them. Just go to hide selection. So now they go away. They're in there. You know they're in there, but they're grayed out in the outliner, and we're ready to go. So let's get over here and see what we can do with this spider. I'm going to go ahead and hit play, and there it is. And now, if we choose our object here, now you can come into your surface shape, and you can find your hair system right here, and that should bring up the controls for your hair system. Let me drop this down. Yeah, hold on a minute. Looks like I'm getting a little glitch there. Let's go back to our poly surface, our surface shape, and our hair system shape 1. Come over into your tabs. There we go. And now you can start messing around with that curve attraction and the other properties that go along with that. So I'm gonna bring this around a little bit. Let's take a look at him. There it is. And I'll go ahead and start the animation and just see if my curve attraction is working, which it is. And these should be fairly predictable results. Most of the time, you know, you'll be able to mess with, you know, various things that are predictable. You can always mess around with drag and motion drag and stuff like that. They're all just controls. You also might want to turn on your self collide. That'll give them a little bit more sort of leeway depending on what you need them to do. And you could have them collide with a ground plane if you want. In this case, my ground plane is right there, but if I sort of bring that down, yeah, hold on a minute. Let's get back to those. I'm going to bring this to a negative number down here. Yeah, and remember, you can always, you know, animate this value too. So, you know, it's just a matter of playing with all of these little controls here. You can make them collide and sort of have a little bit more properties of colliding with this. But I do have a couple of other tutorials online covering this, so go check those out, part 1 and part 2 of using the hair system. So that's about it. All right. So don't forget about your intensity and your frequency of turbulence and whatnot. Now, watch this. Because we attached everything to this spider, let's say I choose my object there at the group node. Make sure you have your whole surface, you know, selected. And say we want to downsize that. I might want to bring this spider down to something like, you know, that scale in the scene. All right. And let's see what we got there. You can see where everything sort of stayed relative to the spider now. I'm going to hit F there. All right, so let's get in here to our, all right. So anyway, that's just a way of making your curve stick, and hopefully you got something out of this. Hopefully this hasn't been too long, but it does have a couple of different, you know, steps involved in order to get it all going. So, all right. You go practice that the whole weekend. Make yourself some creepy crawly stuff and whatnot. And, you know, thanks for watching. And as always, be a good person, because there's just nothing better than being a good person in this world of, you know, maybe sometimes marginal people. Crap. All right. So read a book, too. It's good for your brain. Read the owner's manual. All right. And I'm using Camtasia now, so we should have a little bit better effects. I'm messing around with it to see if it works really well, so we'll find out. So this is my first Camtasia test, so let me know how you like it, okay? And there you go. All right, thanks for watching.